रीडिंग, पहले आप हाई पे लिखेंगे 100 पे और फिर उसके बाद आप 80 पे लिखेंगे। जो कंटेंट है आपको मिलेगा ये SSC C&D ग्रेड टेस्ट 86 यूट्यूब @100 और नेक्स्ट विल मिलेगा आपको @80। यूआरएल आपको क्लियर है कि 3P प्रोग्राम वाली साइट पे जाना है। अगर आपको 3P प्रोग्राम वाली साइट पे जाके ये कंटेंट नहीं, ये लिंक नहीं मिल पा रहा है, ओपन नहीं हो पा रहा है, तो आपने गूगल पे सर्च कर लेना है 3P प्रोग्राम। जब आप सर्च करेंगे तो एक आपका पेज आएगा 3P ऑनलाइन करके। उस पर लिखा होगा 3P ऑनलाइन और जो उसका यूआरएल एड्रेस होगा 3P program.in होगा, www.3pprogram.in। अगर आपको ये यूआरएल डायरेक्टली नहीं मिलता, ये वाला 3pprogram.steno18.in, ये जनरली यूआरएल में टाइप करने से आता है, लेकिन आप गूगल सर्च करते हो तो 3P प्रोग्राम डालो, 3P ऑनलाइन वाले लिंक पे क्लिक करो। क्लिक करने के बाद में आपने जाना होता है स्टेनो टाइपिंग, उसमें होम, अबाउट अस, सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स, स्टेनो टाइपिंग। तो इस तरह से पेजेस आ जाएंगे, होम आ जाएगा, अबाउट अस, तो ऐसी ना टैब आएगी, तो आपने क्लिक करना है स्टेनो टाइपिंग वाली टैब पे, स्टेनो टाइपिंग। जब आप इस पर क्लिक करते हो तो आपका पेज खुल जाता है। उसके अंदर 3 लिंक आएंगे। पहला आएगा पहला जो आएगा वो आएगा आपका वेलकम का मैसेज आएगा, उसके बाद में लिंक होगा, उसमें मैसेज लिखा होगा 3P प्रोग्राम डिक्टेशन टाइपिंग सॉफ्टवेयर डेमो फ्री। इसमें ओपन सोर्स मटेरियल पर क्लिक करेंगे तो ये आपको इसी पेज पे लेके चला जाएगा। ये तो उनके लिए है जो डिक्टेशन पे है। इसी तरह से कुछ बच्चे बेसिक्स पे है, बेसिक कंटेंट टाइप करने के लिए उसके नीचे लिंक लिया होगा, उस पर लिखा होगा बेसिक बुक कंटेंट टाइपिंग सॉफ्टवेयर। उसमें आप ओपन सोर्स पे क्लिक करेंगे, विजिट स्टेनोग्राफी पोर्टल पे क्लिक करेंगे तो वो आपको उस वाले पेज पर ले जाएगा। तो आपको फिलहाल जाना है डिक्टेशन के लिए। 3P प्रोग्राम सर्च करके 3P ऑनलाइन में क्लिक करने के बाद में स्टेनो टाइपिंग पे क्लिक करो और डिक्टेशन टाइपिंग सॉफ्टवेयर का जो डेमो के अंदर जो ओपन सोर्स लिंक का क्लिक है उस पर क्लिक करोगे तो आप यही पेज खोल लेंगे। कई बार ये ओपन नहीं हो पाता, बड़ी दिक्कत होती है बच्चों को, तो ये इसके लिए लिंक है। अब आप लिखेंगे 100 पे, रीडिंग, स्टार्टेड। In the course of the debate yesterday on the Home Ministry's demands, a number of points were raised by honorable members. In particular, I am happy that some members of this House appreciated the efforts that were being made by the state governments and also by the center. So far as the various subjects under discussion were concerned, especially so far as the law and order situation was concerned, it was very good on the part of some members to have appreciated the efforts made by the state governments in this regard. There were a number of other points also which were raised, and in respect of some of them, I should like to enlighten the House so far as the real position is concerned. These points deal very briefly with Tripura, the Andamans, Delhi and Gujarat, and they have also some bearing on the question of the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes and the services. These therefore are the various points, and I should like to place the correct picture before this House so that the House will know what government have been doing so far as all these questions are concerned. With your permission, I would deal briefly with Tripura first. When the Part C States Act was passed, in view of a number of circumstances, the geographical position of the state, the backward nature of the state, the existence of a very large number of tribal people and a number of other circumstances, it was considered advisable so far as the administration of this state was concerned that it ought to be directly under the government of India so that they can spend more for the purpose of developing this backward area. Now, the question is often raised why we are not immediately introducing popular government in this tiny state, the population of which is 500,000. That question cannot be considered singly, but will be considered in the context of the report that we are receiving very shortly in the course of the next 3 or 4 months from the States Reorganization Commission. The whole question will be considered. Their recommendations will be placed before the House, and only then government will take appropriate action. So far as the present regime is concerned, it will also be kindly noted that it is not an autocratic rule in the popularly accepted sense of the term. Therefore, I am pointing out to this House certain circumstances from which the House will gather that government have been trying their best to improve the conditions there and to develop it to the extent that is possible. I would make a very brief reference to the expenditure during the last 3 years for the year 2010-11. Government spent rupees 95 crores. There is a considerable scheduled tribes population as also a scheduled castes population. Mostly they have come from Bangladesh. A sum of rupees 17 crores has been set apart for the purpose of improving the condition of the scheduled castes as also the scheduled tribes. Then very great efforts are being made for the purpose of rehabilitating the refugees, most of whom are from the scheduled castes, and it will be found that as a matter of fact 1,90,000 people have been rehabilitated in this tiny state of Tripura. Out of them 99,000 and odd have been rehabilitated in government colonies, and land loans have been given, facilities for education have been given, and in respect of medical facilities it will be found that the amount has increased by at least 5 times. Then a point was made that unemployment was rising. So far as the question of unemployment is concerned, it is a general question and has also only a very short specific point so far as the state is concerned. You will find that in view of the development projects that government have undertaken, the number of persons employed or the service personnel in this tiny state has increased. These persons are actually under employment in respect of the different departments so far as development projects are concerned. Then you will also note that for the purpose of providing good buildings for offices, especially for schools and hospitals, the government have a proposal before them which is being implemented, according to which rupees 1 crore are going to be spent for the purpose of construction of various buildings. Then we are also taking care to see that crime is not increasing at all. Very vague statements were made that crime was increasing. In fact, so far as the border area is concerned, there were only 2 dacoities and no more. Even all the offenders in respect of these offences have been brought under control. Sir, now I would like to say something about tea. This time there is taxation on common tea, the tea that we are consuming here, so that there can be more earnings through export. But if we examine this tea industry, we will find that we are not getting good results either by the efforts of the tea board or by the efforts of government. 1/4 of the production of the whole country is represented by tea, but that much of attention is not given by the government to this industry. They think that it is already getting foreign earning and so it should continue to get it. But efforts should be made not only to develop this industry but also to improve the industry through research and other things. As you know, in some parts, the foreign companies which are working here are neglecting this industry. They are only after the profits. They are not thinking of the development of the industry. There is room for development in many respects, but it all depends upon research work, and research stations should be set up wherever there is neglected. No doubt the tea board is there, but the tea board is not seeing to these things. ये आपको SSC C ग्रेड टेस्ट नंबर 86 के नाम से मिल जाएगा. स्पीड 100 है, फ्लक्चुएशन 10 वर्ड अपसाइड में है. 80 पे लिखेंगे. Ready? Start it. Sir, the Commissioner of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes has reported inadequacy of staff. This has also been recognized by the Home Ministry, but he has not been allowed to fill up the posts. The efficiency of the staff should not be allowed to be sacrificed on the altar of economy. Sir, I intend to draw the attention of the Honorable Minister in this regard. While there is surplus staff declared, why can some of that staff not be utilized for the betterment of this department? Sir, evaluation cells have been set up recently at the central and state levels. These cells have been doing very valuable work, but it would have been much better if the reports should have been available at the time of the discussion. The census report with regard to the progress of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes is not available because the policy of the government is not to give or collect information in this report caste or community wise. It is more than a decade and a half since the welfare of the backward classes and the question of removal of untouchability have become an article of faith and an important plank in the policy of the government. Sir, as the backward classes are backward socially, economically, and politically, the government has declared that the backward classes should come up to the level of the other communities and assimilate themselves with the rest of the community. With that intention, the government has declared further that backward classes, being a part and parcel of the Indian community, are entitled to receive the benefits of the general development schemes, and as they are backward, further special measures have been provided to accelerate their progress. Sir, the intention of the government is very clear. It is as clear as crystal that the backward classes should come up to the level of the rest of the community, and they should benefit from the general development of the country. With the same object, every year we see large amount of money being provided in increasing scales for the welfare activities of the backward classes. Also, necessary legislations have been enacted both at the central as well as the state levels. Times without number, various executive orders have been issued to enable the backward classes in our country to get the benefits of the various measures enacted by this Parliament. Large amounts of money have been spent both by the center and the states for the welfare activities of the backward classes. Even in the 12th plan, we see that a sum of rupees 400 crores have been provided for the uplift of the weaker sections to enable them to get the benefit of it. Looking at the provisions and the various acts and orders issued by the governments both at the center and state levels, the Commissioner feels that in view of the aspirations and intentions of the backward classes to come up to the level of the other communities, the orders should reach in reasonable time if they are to be implemented effectively and with a sense of urgency. Now, sir, the position is that the schemes are not implemented properly. There is no enthusiasm behind the execution of the schemes. there is no such urgency shown by the officers who execute the work. This can be seen from the big shortfalls in the expenditure. If there is really sense of urgency on the part of the officers, there should not be such large shortfalls in the expenditure of money. Similarly, we see that so many cases about removal of untouchability have not been registered due to the lukewarm attitude of the officers. It seems that these people have no sympathy for the backward classes, and we see that large numbers of people of the scheduled castes are not allowed to derive benefit from the provisions made under the Act, Removal of Untouchability Act. Sir, it will be seen that during the period 2001-8, the overall increase in the agricultural production is in the neighborhood of 30%, but the wages of the weaker sections have not increased to that extent. On the contrary, there is decline in their income. If the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe man is entitled to a share in the general development, then his income should have increased to the extent of 30%. This is clearly stated in the report that the economic and social conditions of the Harijans and other backward classes of the society have not shown any improvement. This is also emphasized by the Backward Classes Commission in its last report, and it has laid stress that the backward classes should derive the maximum benefit from the development of these schemes, but nothing happened further. Afterwards, it was decided and agreed to by all the states to follow the formula of setting aside a portion out of the total outlay on the general डेवलपमेंट स्कीम्स। ये 80 की स्पीड है, फ्लक्चुएशन ना के बराबर है, और ये कंटेंट आपको SSC C D ग्रेड टेस्ट नंबर 86 @80 के नाम से मिल जाएगा। टाइप करेंगे